Welcome once again to another Entertainment Roundup. I'm J77 here to talk about a couple of stories for you. But before I get started, I want to apologize in advance for last week's show. I was not aware that some technical difficulties had occurred. I did check the audio before posting. Apparently, a fellow Matic expressionists have brought to my attention that the last 30 minutes of the weekend wrap up did not play the way it was supposed to play. I don't know what the hell happened. Apparently, the audio somehow died, which is kind of strange considering I was listening to it before I did the post recording because I had to do pictures, choose a background for the audio before actually posting it. I'm pretty sure it happened while that process has gone down. So, you guys, it's maybe a possibility. It may not. So far, I haven't heard anything else from either YouTube. I just heard it from Matic Expression, but she's been a great supporter of mine. I've always commented, have always given me feedback. I'm actually waiting for her to have her poems back. I know she's taking a very well-deserved vacation, and I want to thank her for bringing that to my attention. Like I said, I did not notice what's going on. So a lot of you guys may have not have heard of what I had spoken about Facility of Hoffman, one of the actresses who had been sentenced to 14 days in prison, and how it led to a lot of anger and a lot of talk about it, about how unfair the system is, which I will talk here because I wanted to bring that to attention. I'm also going to bring up a possible merger between, for those wrestling fans out there, between Impact Wrestling and ROH. If this happens, this may spell the end of Ring of Honor, a wrestling organization that's been around for a pretty good long time now, and had been struggling more so to keep their fan base as well as their wrestlers under their wings. So we'll get to that a little bit more. But I really want to touch on something here about the latest news of the college enrollment scandal. I want to get that out the way because I do think it's very important. I don't want to just leave it to loss of standard time. So I want to get to that. Hopefully I can find the article again because that's a big article. It is one of those things that is not really old, but it's pretty much, and I just found it just now because it's on Celebrity News. Thank you very much. And I'll give you the gist down. Facility Hoffman is one of many people, she's not the only one, that has been accused and charged with using the mail to defraud. One of the main reasons why is a very serious crime because a lot of scandals can happen through the mail. You've probably seen some of these scandals yourself. I know a couple of them came to my way as well. So the federal government do take those things very seriously. How seriously? It really all depends on the nature of the crime. According to a lot of reports, her along with Lori Larkin, who played Full House, had pretty much has been involved of using bribes to get their kids into these prestige colleges that is very hard to get into. Even if you have a great score, it is very difficult, and they are very picky on who they get in. So to hear this kind of story break in a few months ago, where you have her, Lofton, and along with a long list of a lot of people basically bribing their children into these colleges by methods of having them in sports leagues that they never even played the league in, is very disturbing, very shocking, but not surprising. And the reason why is that who knows how long this has been going on. We only heard about the people who have gotten caught. Imagine the people who didn't get caught. And I also addressed that how come the colleges who are supposed to be on top of who is in their college, who their records have proof of they actually play the sport, to proof that they actually even show them in class. How they are getting a free pass, and these people are meant to be put in the hangar. But that's a story for another time. The important thing is that there was a sentencing. This is something that has happened. Again, The Desperate Housewife actor was sentenced to 14 days in prison. She has to pay $30,000 in fines, supervised release for 1 year, and 250 hours of community service for paying $15,000 to have someone correct answers on an SAT exam. So that's very serious. As a school situation, they do not play that. They do not play people cheating. To have our oldest daughter, Sophia, enter the college. This actually brought in a lot of anger to one John Legend. Now, John Legend had brought up some interesting points here. And he says that no one will in our organization will benefit from a 14-day days, and an actress will serve for cheating in a college admission. He wrote, "We don't need to lock people up for any of that stuff." Legend also bring up some other previous cases, which I do agree with. In some instances, and I actually have been looking this up more frequently, there was a woman who was sentenced to 10 years. Her crime was to basically give her son a different address because she herself was homeless. So this was one of the stories that also came out in the news, and also it's been talked about that how we're also giving other people sentences that are nonviolent crimes. There was also another example. The sentence still escapes me, but he did a very lengthy tweet. It definitely did not get too many people happy about it, and a lot of people were very, very angry, very, very upset, and I completely understand why they're angry. Let me get to the John Legend thing real quick. I do not disagree with John Legend's comments. I understand clearly what he is saying, especially when I came out and said that in the old video, for those who didn't hear, that a 14-day sentence, you might as well just give her parole. You might as well give her parole, and that's it. Why waste America's taxpayer money if all you're going to do is give her 14 days in prison? All right? Do I think she deserves a heavy sentence? No. I honestly don't. Because for one thing, it's not a violent crime. It's a non-violent crime, and in all technicality, if you really look at it, she didn't harm anyone. If it's one thing, if Cecilia Hoffman have taken money for someone, fraud someone, deceive someone, did a Ponzi scheme, they're taking people's life savings. That is one thing. It's another thing where she's been caught cheating on an exam. I feel that's more so on the conscious side than anything else. The only thing I will say is, yes, using the mail to defraud is a very serious thing. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not. But, again, when I see the case, and as I see it hearing now, when I heard they was only giving her 1 or 2 years in prison, I said, unless they're actually giving her 1 or 2 years in prison, and they're only going to give her a few months, or even what they've seen, a few days, then you know what? It's better off to give her parole, let her pay restitution, and let's keep it moving. So I don't think that 14-day benefit anyone, and many people are upset about that. And he brought up a very good point about people being locked up for 10 years for some similar crimes, being locked up for something that is pretty much deemed harmless. And if you look at the situation, what more can you do? The lady he's talking about is a lady who, again, was sentenced to 10 years. A homeless lady, if I may ask, 10 years in prison because he used another person's address to get her son to school. And I say, yeah, that's unfair. It's uncalled for. I think that's kind of disgusting, that the fact that we're putting people in prison for that, and a lengthy sentence, a sentence that really hardened criminals should be getting, and not someone of a nonviolent crime. But we decided that we need to punish everybody for every little thing. That's how we work sometimes. And I think it's unfair, and I think it's disgusting. But this is also the reason why I think John Legend needs to understand why people are upset at this hearing. Because if you're willing to give a lady 10 years for a crime of using another person's address to get her son into school, why is she only getting 14 days? This is the displacement of our justice system. There's a two-tier system here, and it should never be a two-tier system. And this is why people don't really take the justice system seriously anymore. And can you blame them? So I'm not saying that John Legend is wrong, but I think John Legend needs to understand why people are angry and why he's been getting the backlash. Because number one, yes, you're right. No one benefits from a woman getting 14-day prison sentence. At the same time, no one benefits for seeing a woman whose only crime was to get her son to school 10 years. Why is she getting more than most people who have done even worse in crime than an actress who only get 14 days? Because she's an actress? Because she got money? Because she got the resources? Do you understand why people are upset? And this is not just this story. There's plenty of examples of this. The Jussie Smollett situation, which I find disgraceful and distasteful and pretty much harmful. You wasted policemen's time. You basically betrayed the trust of the people who actually believed what was going on. You filed a false report, yet he was given a scot-free. Yet the same prosecutor, which I think is even more corrupt than the entire city of Chicago, tried to give somebody a similar sentence, a more harsher sentence. And the judge actually said, "What are you doing? How the hell are you going to justify this person who you're trying to sentence to years in prison when you didn't even try and prosecute the guy who did worse?" Which led to an investigation, which led to her having to step down from the entire case. This is what I meant. So in case you missed that, this is what I was talking about. And it really does bring a light of can Lori Loughlin be will be given a lighter sentence. Keep in mind, she is fighting her case. If she's guilty, she may get a harsher case. I seriously doubt it. I see the minimum she's going to get is probably 1 year. Maximum 2 to 3. She'll probably serve 6 to a year. Rest on probation. And I have to ask myself, is this really worth our time and taxpayers' money? It really does bring the question to it. And at the same time, how good is our justice system when it's pretty much not about justice, but about dollars and cents in many cases? I'll let you guys decide on that situation. Let you guys decide on that factor. There's been some talk, if you're a wrestling fan, I'm going right straight to the conversation here. If you are a wrestling fan, you may have been heard in the news is about the merger of Impact Wrestling, which is a surprise that it still exists to this day. Impact Wrestling should have been dead years ago, yet not only are they still alive and well, but they are now making inquiries, and one of the inquiries, besides having a new TV deal with a very known company that everybody's keeping an eye on, there is rumors popping up that Ring of Honor may be in their radar to be merged to them. Now, do I think it's a good move? In many ways, yes, for both Ring of Honor and for Impact. They are not being looked at on television. AEW has taken a good chunk of the spotlight alongside WWE, and you also have the re-emerging of the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance. When they're going to come out and what TV deal they're going to have, I do not know. They did announce it on their YouTube page. They have been around mostly because not because the belt is still prestige, but because number one, they was able to latch on and be like a beginner's gear for a lot of these wrestling organizations. Remember, NWA was part of TNA, Impact Wrestling, for a while, and NWA actually had a deal with Ring of Honor before finally going on their own. So they managed to stay around and kept the belt relevant for some time now. Hell, they even was a part of the first ever official, unofficial AEW pay-per-view event known as All In, where Cody have won the NWA title. And it shows just how far NWA has gone through. But because of what we're seeing with NWA, what's going on even with WWE, and what's even going on with AEW, with these three companies, it is very clear that something has to give between the two other companies, that's Impact and Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor was very unique in many ways. They had a handshake rule where the wrestlers must shake hands at the end of the match. This pretty much solidifies the face against the heels. They've been going strong for a while, but they never really got up to that part of notability in terms of television exposure. And even surprisingly against YouTube exposure, I've seen some of their YouTube matches, and I'm like, okay, this is really good, but it never really popped in terms of keeping that interest in their brand. One of the problem is they once people leave their contracts, they don't really sign another contract with Ring of Honor. They really don't. And that's even been the problem with Impact Wrestling. Although Impact Wrestling was a lot different, they made a lot of bad executive decisions that really hurt them down the road. But surprisingly, these two managed to stay afloat. One of the reasons why a lot of people feel that Ring of Honor is dying a slow death, mostly because many people do believe that they're not going to hang on much longer, is because of the fact is that they've been hurt a lot more in terms of transition, in terms of keeping wrestlers. Ring of Honor had a lot of good wrestlers. They at one point they had Cody, they had Hangman Page, they had Omega for a good minute. But once they did their own thing, and many people feel that was a mistake on Ring of Honor part, I don't think it was. And the only reason why I said it because they were on their way out anyway. It did feel like that no matter what happened, their contract was up. It was less likely they was going to sign them back with Ring of Honor. So Ring of Honor said, "Well, go ahead, do your thing, and that's it." They know the writing was on the wall, and that's the problem. Now Ring of Honor still got some wrestlers in there, but hardly anybody knows who these wrestlers are. Hardly anybody knows what these guys can do, and largely because again exposure is simply not there. Impact is getting more and more exposed, and they are in a better leverage of buying out Ring of Honor, and I do see them actually buying out Ring of Honor. And once they do, Ring of Honor will be dead. I don't see this being Impact Wrestling Ring of Honor or Ring of Honor Impact Wrestling. It's not. One got to go, and most likely it'll be Ring of Honor, and they'll be exurged, and they will have more power and leverage to go through it, and especially now when they got better TV exposure. Now, that doesn't mean Impact Wrestling is back on the fold. It just means that they're working their way back up, and I say working their way back up because I do believe they're gonna go right back up. I do believe that we're gonna have 3 major events, 4 if you count NWA, and we're gonna have pretty much these type of special wrestling brands to watch. WWE is in the class of itself. They still gonna be top dog. They got the Raw, SmackDown, NXT. They got the WWE Network with a library of wrestlings from both their time, WCW time, and other venues that they have gobbled up over the years. But now we're going to have more variety and more exposure to these varieties. And that's something I actually like to see. I want to see more of this. Now the downside of this, if you're a wrestling fan, if those who have even grew up in the 80s and 70s, is it could overexpose the business. This was something of a big problem back in the 70s that almost killed wrestling. One of the reasons why we had territories was to make sure one didn't overlap the other. That whatever is broadcast in the Northeast stays in the Northeast. Whatever is broadcast in the Midwest or the South, it stays in the Midwest. These are why we had the territories. And to be frankly honest with you, we may be getting slowly back into that. Maybe not in a way that is done back in the days, but if we get in a way that is more in terms of who gets the more exposure. We already have wrestling organizations that's out there that's doing their thing and doing pretty well. One of them happens to be Major League Wrestling. So there are wrestling outlets that we can get to. But now, with these 3 big ones, we want to have more exposure to it. And don't forget, there's even schools that are actually exposing themselves to via by YouTube or streaming. So there's a whole lot of stuff that that's being brought out there. And if you're a wrestling fan, there is more options out there, and I think many of the wrestling fans are looking for that more options. And that's a good thing, right? And I think if anything else, especially with the with AEW, the NWA, and also Impact making moves like this, even though WWE is not threatened yet, and I don't think they are. I think there's a lot that AEW needs to improve, as well as all the other wrestling organizations that I talk to. It's going to be a while where you're going to see competitiveness squeeze down WWE's throat. Well, WWE is going to have to make some improvements to their own brand, which I think, to be fair, and I'm being very honest here, I think they've been doing that. I think they've been doing it slowly. I think there are some things that I think they don't really want to give up this yet, but I think slowly they're getting better. All right? I think slowly they are trying to, beef up their brand, and I think they have to, because number one, their house shows has not been doing good, and even some of their live television tapings they're going good in terms of attendance. So I think they're trying. I think they're doing everything they can to beef up their crowd, especially when you're hearing a starting company doing what they used to do back in the days, and that's sell out the building. That's something that WWE has not been a lot of problems with lately, selling out that building. So hopefully, this will get them back up and running, and get them to literally be competitive again. I want WWE to be competitive again. And to be fair, the competitiveness that AEW done had got me back into what's going on in WWE. I haven't thought about WWE in years. Not since Jerry Lawler had a heart attack, which I'm glad he's okay. And I think the last match I saw was Brock Lesnar Undertaker. And the WrestleMania. Other than that, I haven't really followed them. I don't know what's going on. I didn't really care. I know they were the Shield. That was all because of the guys like JD from New York, Wrestle Talk, WrestleLania, other guys who have dedicated their YouTube channel to wrestling. That's how I kept up with it. Other than that, I haven't watched anything. When AEW came in the board and I found out who was running it, and they seen a couple of shows of theirs, I'm like, hey, you know what? This is pretty good. What is Vince doing? What's WWE doing? How are they going to capitalize that? That's how I got back into WWE more so. And they should thank ACW for doing that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have paid no attention to them. So again, competitive is a good thing sometimes. I just hope that they actually improve. And look, this is a billion-dollar company. They're not going out of business. They're going to be fine for. They can afford the struggle. But I think they need to learn that what's some of the stuff they're doing. First off, I gotta tell you right now, they gotta stop talking down to their audience. Some of the dialogue they have for these guys wrestlers thing is mind-boggling. I hope they remove that script control, because that no one talks like that sometimes. Hell, I thought the '80s dialogue was bad. At least the '80s dialogue was fun to listen to. Some of them actually cut good promos. Some of these promos are just hard to watch. And speaking of which, could you please give me more wrestling and less of these promo activities? I understand that maybe people say, oh, they want these promos. No, we don't. I want to see good classic wrestling. It's weird to see a wrestling match last a minute and a half. To me, that's something else that I really hope they fix. I really do. But what's your opinion? I'm hoping to hear from what you guys are doing. I like to hear what you guys are, especially if you're a wrestling fan. Even if you're not a wrestling fan, love to hear what you got to say. I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm getting worried. I'm getting a little bit concerned. I know it's early in the season, but when it comes to football, every game counts. Every game counts. Every game counts. And especially with the reputation of these two New York teams, every game counts. I was hoping that the Jets would actually show up for this game against the Browns. After blowing a 16-0 lead against the Buffalo Bills, I was hoping they would actually do good. I was hoping they would actually come home and hear that, hey, they actually won this game. They're 1-1, preparing for the New England Patriots of football. I was hoping they could actually come in and actually give me a fighting chance to actually give me hope that it's going to be a good season. Nope. I come home. There was nothing in my feed. I guess my phone didn't wanted to spare me the awful news that my team lost, because there was nothing on my feed. I had both the Giants and the Jets on my feed. Let me know what's going on. Keep me up to date. I saw nothing on my feed. I said, oh, well, I guess the game ran a little later than usual. I come home, go on the internet, find some highlights, and I looked at the game and I said, well, this is why they spared me the pain. They lose, and they lose badly. And I'm sitting here saying, yep, this coach looked good. This coach who got a GM fired, whose ego is the size of watermelons, so far is 0 for 2. And I'm sitting here saying, why did we got you again? Why do you think you're better than everybody else again? Because your team ain't showing it. Your team didn't show up. And now I got a situation here where you guys facing the Patriots. I don't think I need to tell you that that's going to be a loss right there in your hand, especially the way you played today. Can't be any worse than the Giants. Giants just, man, oh man, this is if nothing's gonna change soon, this is gonna be a long season for Eli and company. And I love Eli, but it's obvious that he needs to, probably the best thing for him to do to save his legacy is probably just to step away from this team. This was a mess. It was an absolute mess. I really feel bad. My team is bad, but I really feel bad for the Giants. The Giants should not be this bad. I'm sorry. The Giants should not have this kind of a game. I turned around and I was like, damn, man, what's the point? I can't watch. I really can't watch. I hope they turn it around. I really do. I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them having a bad year. I really don't. I don't want to see them just having a bad year. But man, oh man, it's getting harder and harder to watch these games, especially when they don't even show up, especially when they're getting manhandled the way they are. Couple of ties. This has been the second year that they had multiple teams have a lot of ties too. So you could tell the competitiveness is getting very, very tough. But oh my goodness. Oh, this is gonna be a tough year. I'll let you know in your comment section. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. Like I said, it's getting to be frustrating. I was surprised the Jets was actually in a Monday Night Football game. I really was. I'm like, really? They earned that? Because normally it's the best of the best teams in Monday Night Football. But then again, the way they keep saturating the sport, you have Thursday Night Football now. You got Friday Night Football probably. It's so many football games on so many days. It's Thursday Night Football. Monday Night Football don't have the same prestige anymore. Especially when you have football on Thursday, Sunday, Sunday night, Monday. Too many. They're overexposing it a lot. And then I don't even count the college football, which is a college game almost every single day. College football is not just confined to just a Saturday. It's on every single day. There's almost 500 plus college games being played. Some you may never even heard. Some school you never even heard of. I remember watching a college game on two colleges some teams I never heard before. So this is the football season. You're gonna find something, whether it's the college level or the professional level. You're gonna find something. If you want to look, you'll find it. Saved by the Bell are returning for a new TV sequel. I don't know why. This article was done by Sam Warner, Digital Spy. It says here, according to the Saved by the Bell is coming back to the scene to get excited, folks. Really? Am I supposed to get excited? Have you seen the new class? I was actually hoping that the college years was actually good. It only lasts one season. Granted, they did 3 movies, but they were not classical, memorable movies. They were forgettable pretty much the next day. A brand new sequel series in the classic sitcom is in the works, which also signed on original star Elizabeth Blankley and Mario Lopez. The show will appear on NBC Universal, new streaming service Peacock, and creators are in the talks with another major cast member to appear, including Mark Paul, Glacier, Zach Morris, according to Hollywood Reports. Although Grosso involvement is yet to be confirmed, the series will see the character of Zach, now governor of California, get in trouble for closing too many low-income schools. So he proposed sending an affected student to the high school performance school in the state. One of those, Bayside High, and the influx of new students give the overprivileged students at Bayside a reality check. Jesse and Stater will be back in the fold in what being reported in a new role as parents, while Tracy Winfield, 30 Rock, will serve as a showrunner and executive producer alongside the original creator. Peter Ego and Fresco Benton Lopez Benkley will also produce. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. It does sound interesting. It sounds close to the reality that New Yorkers is dealing with a lot of schools being shut down and a lot of students being either misplaced and put into other schools, which parents have been protesting a lot in terms of how they didn't want their kids to be embedded with the other kids in terms of education. So that it sounds like they're going to go with that route right there. That does sound interesting, but this is Saved by the Bell. I really don't see doing much reality talk. One thing it bothers me because one thing this show has so many incarnations. They had Good Morning Miss Bliss, which is the original, in my opinion, the original Saved by the Bell. They took that cast minus Haley Mills, who was the teacher, Miss Blitz, and just made their own show, which amazingly lasted longer than I thought it would. And it was cheesy 80s fun. If you watched Saved by the Bell, it was cheesy as hell. But what made it fun, I will admit it was fun, the cast was fun. They tried to repeat it with the college year, it just didn't work. I just did not fall in love with that show. No one did. I saw the wedding movie, which I thought was very good, but forgettable. The new class was pretty much press the reset button. You had Zach being part of that class, being part of that group. It lasted even longer than I thought it should. Finally got canceled. I honestly don't know how this was going to work. They're following a trend of bringing back the 80s shows. Yes, Fuller House succeeded, despite its controversy with Lori Loughlin, it did. But they also have Girls Meets World, which did not. Keep that in mind. Not every show has success. But NBC seems confident, and they seem to have a blueprint of what they want to do. Zach Morris as governor, I can't see. I'm being honest with you. I'm like, Zach, governor, really? But hey, it may work out. And if the guy can come in, if the person who plays Zach Morris comes back, if not for a cameo appearance, to find out what's going on with him, his wife, and children, if you have any, which will be interesting to see, that'll be good. And the fact that they actually bring in a wake-up call when you have students going into Bayside, give these privileged kids a little wake-up call and say, hey, not all kids are bad. Bring that little tension bring more story into the mix. You know what? Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe I'm judging it too quickly. The one thing that will definitely convince me is if they get rid of the 80s cheese, because the 80s cheese is not going to work anymore in television shows. Television shows became more sophisticated. I hope I'm saying that right. So they need to become more sophisticated. Why is this word escaping me now? I just said it right. It needs to be more intelligent. Let me put it that way, because I'm not going to have my tongue tied all day. It needs to take a topic very seriously. It needs not to talk back to the crowd, and you need to understand that 80s cheese, well, it worked it in the 80s. I will not be as forgiving here in the year 2020s going forward, because I believe this is coming out in 2020. You need to let you may have the cast from the original crew. That's fine, but you also, and this is my own opinion, you also want to have the new cast shine. Let them have their moment in the sun. Let them have their story to be told. And I'm hoping that they do that. Now, the one thing I'm very happy to hear, and I'll say this right now, because her career was ruined by that film, by that movie. Unfairly, too, because she was trying so hard to go into films, and that film derailed any chance of her having a career. Elizabeth Brinkley, I actually am happy that she is getting some work. It may not be something that she wanted, but to see the fact is that she's coming back and getting work, and she's going to be a regular, I'm actually happy for her. Because I didn't think she deserved to be written off the face of the earth for that bad film that they made. A film so bad it ruined the NC-17 rating. The NC rating was blacklisted because of that one film. So to hear that she's getting work again, to hear that she's actually going to get a shot in this business, I welcome it. I embrace it because I want her to succeed. I always felt that she has gotten a raw deal for one, having a bad script, and two, wanting to actually go beyond, wanting to escape that teenage facade that she was doing. Now, granted, she's going back to Saved by the Bell, but she's not going to be the same character that she was when she was in Saved by the Bell. She's a grown woman now. Probably have children of her own. It'd be interesting how they're going to portray that. She may be a teacher at Bayside. I'd be interested to see how they mingle together. But it's good to see her having work. I'm looking forward to see what you have to done with that. Because again, there are some actresses who don't get that same opportunity to come back. I'm glad that they're actually doing that. But what's your opinion about this? I'd like to hear what you have to say. I'd like to hear what you guys have to comment about. Leave it in the comment section below. Until next time, J77 saying be safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.